Hello and welcome to the final and fourth and final workshop of innovation networks for active and healthy aging. And today's topic is scale-up process and model for the active and healthy aging field. So we have been working with different tools already for 2 years, and our project is approaching to its end. And among other tools, I can name a few of them, how to innovate together with end users, participatory design tool for companies. We have also looked into investments, how to invest and what are the main issues and questions to invest in active and healthy aging field. We have also analyzed data management. So all those tools are available and reports are available. You can find them on our website. So please visit it. And now it's the moment of advertisement. 2 seconds. 7th of December, we have our final event here in Estonia. You are all most welcome to join in person in a very beautiful spot called Laulasmaa. So you can come to Estonia and touch the digitalization and innovation yourself, and also it's possible to join to this final event via online. Yeah, you're most welcome to be here in person. So today we have 2 presentations. One is scaling up process and playbook, experience from piloting activities within the network, within the project. And this presentation is made by Jari Handelberg from Southeastern Finland University of Applied Science. And the second presentation is innovation scale-up model and roadmap. This will be presented by Marika Merirand from Tehnopol. And then in the end, we will have a few moments for questions and discussion. So whenever you have questions, please drop those questions to the chat box, and we will pick them there, and then we can discuss later on after the presentations. So, but Jari, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jari, you can start.
Everybody. Yes, hello everybody. So I'm Jari Handelberg. I have been working as the main business coach for this IN-4-AHA project. Not just the meaning that I have been the only person providing coaching. So we have had several specialists around finance, business strategy, especially design thinking and lean startup. But I shortly represent my presentation, and then let's have a discussion in the end of this session. So just shortly about this let's say this project and process behind this scale-up program, and also the model we have been developing over the 2 years. So we started with the open call for startups around this aging healthy active people, and we got tens of applicants for this program. We chose five best ones, or the most appropriate for this program. And this is now the 5 companies we have been using as the case study, together with of course the literature review, providing this model what we are representing now. But so what is the innovative approach of this project is very much related to that we combine the living lab experience with the business coaching at the same time, and they go side by side. So next slide, please. And just so there's a lot of like steps and phases according the business coaching and living lab, but just so that how we have combined these two things together, and that's very much like the issue related how we can help the startups to scale up. And the next slides. And so coming back to this playbook, as a result of this project, we have prepared and developed this playbook, which now provides kind of a summary for those who are looking forward to scale up the startup, and also for let's say developers, coaches, living labs who are helping companies and also looking forward to help them for the scale up process. And just shortly about the aim and let's say the extra value we see this playbook brings. So especially now once we had these 5 different types of startups, so they nicely combine each other. Of course, they also helped each other. So we had sessions where all those startups and their members were involved. For example, we had the part of this scale-up program carried out during last year, about the same time as now. So the startups learned a lot from each other. At the same time, we had the top investors visiting from, for example, from Silicon Valley to provide also the US or American view. So how you scale up or how you think your product would be able to scale up. And also about the target group. Second. Sorry. Sorry, happening. Again, about the target group of this, so very much we see that the startups and SMEs and the wider cluster of the healthcare companies and supporters are the target group of this playbook. And also once you get this presentation, so you have direct link for this web page or this web version of this playbook. And the next slide, please. And just some conclusions or experiences based on the 5 startups we had or scale-ups, and also referring to prior experiences of us, and also referring the literature review. So which are the key things when we think about the scaling up? First of all, very much emphasizing the end user view. So once we are talking about especially the health sector, the end users has to be involved in the very early on. And also related to our approach once we utilize the design thinking and lean startup. So we don't like to miss time or resources having product ready, and then we realize that it's not the right kind, or there is no need for this product. And so that's why we like to have the end users very much involved from the very beginning. Also the other stakeholders now, especially when we are talking about the health sector. So there are various players concerning the end users, but then the family members, then the other stakeholders, which has to be taken into account very early on. Again, to avoid the case that the service is ready, but there is no need, it's not right kind. And emphasizing very much the fast learning, iteration, experiencing. Maybe from my experience, it's easy to think that, of course, there is need for certain type of product or service, but how to make it as a business. So it's hard, because once as an entrepreneur you realize that things doesn't just move forward based on that there is some need. So actually you need to find the person or some stakeholder which benefits the most, and start to practice the lean startup and design thinking method, especially for those maybe just few customers you like to very much be involved to engage for your product, to really provide and show the benefits of the service, and also that to get the value of the service has to be such huge that there are stakeholders willing to finance the process, and it's going to be as a business. And not too much emphasizing really the continuous learning loops, testing. So we got a lot of feedback. Now, once we were testing the products at the same time, we were supporting or taking into account the other stakeholders from the business side. And also what was important, that we constantly were improving the knowledge and know-how of the startups during this process, lasting more than 1 year. And not just thinking that we know everything by ourselves or even our network would be enough. We were constantly expanding our network for the new people, new experts, really to be involved in this process. And so finally, really taking our startups, so which become very important at certain stage, is really to be able to see the markets where you are, which is your segments, which are the competitors of your product, which are the benefits of your product, comparing some other ones. So it becomes more and more fine-grained during the process once you understand the markets and competitors better. And then the next slide, please. And so just shortly about the partners we have been involved, just to name the main partners of our project, but really emphasizing the role for the number of organizations involved in this process. And also, as a result of this project, we can see that this network has expanded, let's say, tenfold during this project already. But now I would like to give speech maybe for the Marika, and then like to have the chat around the results and experience, and share our experience with your experience as well. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you, Jari. So I'll take over the lead from here. I am Marika, and I'll be telling you about the slightly bigger picture now, like Piret emphasized at the introduction of the seminar, that in the framework for IN-4-AHA, a lot of different aspects were looked at from more principal issues like person-centered, like the significance of person-centered design, to very practical guidance for companies. Sorry about that. I have little people who will be taking care of my active and healthy aging in the future, so they'll be on the side. So, like I said, that in the framework of project, we had different, I apologize, different aspects, such as like very practical guidance to companies on data management practices, very specific recommendations to policymakers, etc. So the scale-up model and the roadmap, in a way, the aim is to bring all those different parts of a project together into, in no way these are comprehensive, because there are so many different aspects to consider. There's so many different factors in the active healthy aging sector. And but we made the idea of a roadmap is to give something for companies, a guidance for them to help them along the way of a scale up. And the roadmap then looks at the bigger picture of the environment and the stakeholder groups in that environment. So let's see if my slides decide to play with us. And then we'll, okay. So to see the, just a second. So when we talk about the scale-up model, the assumptions that we work with the scale-up model is that we're talking about companies, right? Entities that have very specific commercial interests. We're talking about companies who have a solution that already has some sort of proof of feasibility, and that they have their eyes are set on internationalization. So they want to expand into a different market from their home market. When talking to startups to validate this model, they say that it's very, very important that they are committed. We all know at the beginning of a life cycle of a startup and a solution, there's a lot of uncertainty, that you have to change a lot along the way, but the commitment has to be there that you will keep on working. So hence, if you look at the picture of that is up here right now, the two pillars or the main supports for the scale-up process is, first of all, strategy, and secondly, stakeholders. So strategy, that there must be a long-term vision, there must be a focus on what the company does, but at the same time, throughout the process, the strategy can change. As the company goes through it, they learn more and they'll find out more information, make more partnerships, and adjust accordingly. The second very, very important part is the stakeholders. Like Jari said, there's a multitude of stakeholders involved in the health and care sector, and their significance should not be underestimated. They will be the main information providers, they will be the testers, they will be, if a company plays their cards right, they will be their prophets, so to say, to help the solution break through. So when we talk about the use of this model, the first target group would be companies, right, startups, but it also can be an aid to clusters and other business support organizations who want to have a more structured view to help their companies, their clients. When we look at the model, it looks very linear, right? With very clear borders between different phases, which in real life, it is definitely not. It can be, for example, the company can start somewhere halfway through the model. They might need to go back to earlier stages. They might be working on one specific component a long time. So flexibility is needed. And this is important to note that it is a long-term process. It's not something that it's not something that you can fill out in one day and then have a magical key to internationalization. I will very, very briefly just describe each phase. So learn phase is basically general information collection. At the end of it, the company would have an idea if scale up would be a feasible strategy for them, or at least the general idea, or they would have a general idea if they need to adjust their product somehow. Planning is basically preparing for testing at the target market. Like Jari said, testing is essential. And this is what the pilot phase is for. When we talk about preparing, then that is post-testing, where the company works on preparing for actual entering of a market full scale, and then we move to a ramp up. Basically, each of those phases has a go, no go moment at the end of them. And when you look at the components of each phase, basically, more or less, it travels throughout the process. It's just being refined and redefined along the way. Now, we do have a report ready. It's with that picture as well. But what we also have is an online tool for public use that companies and clusters can use. It has an introductory questionnaire to help them understand which phase or where it would be sensible for them to start exploring. There are online questionnaires for each phase, and also references to more tools, more materials, more links if they want to learn more. Now, this very briefly was about the scale-up model, so the work that the company needs to do, right? But the company operates in an environment with a lot of stakeholders, and throughout the IN-4-AHA project, a lot of issues were outlined that can hinder the companies from successful implementation. It could be internal, it could be external. So those issues are outlined, and a lot of solutions were offered. And this basically was the input for the roadmap. So when we looked at the roadmap, we decided that the most sensible way is to focus on stakeholder groups. And while there are many, there are 3 that carry the biggest role. So the first, like we talked, are the companies, the innovators. There are the enablers, who are the clusters, their networks, living labs, business representatives, and then policymakers. And as you can see, it all operates in this general framework of stakeholders, or like environment of different stakeholder groups. So for innovators, the activities they have to conduct are daily. So this is why in the roadmap it's presented as the short-term view. That it's just that the daily, very like everyday work that needs to be implemented. We're talking about person-centered approach throughout the project. This has been emphasized over and over again, that this needs to be implemented as early as possible along with development and activities. Implementing good data management practices as soon as possible, as early as possible, is important, because that is often the pitfall for companies. And then conducting impact assessment, to making sure that the company understands what is the impact that their solution makes. When we are talking about clusters, living labs, and networks, their view is more midterm. They often already possess all the necessary networks or all the business knowledge that they can help companies with. However, we need them to be more sector specific. There are specific characteristics of the active healthy aging market, and not all the business models or principles apply. So it would be beneficial if there was more sector specific business development support, as well as sector-specific accelerator and testing programs. There's also been a question of that information is often fragmented in Europe, how that it's difficult to sometimes obtain information, who is doing what are the opportunities. So an active healthy aging innovation platform has been suggested, and it would be the enablers who have the best competence to understand what should be included in the platform and how to make sure that that platform is usable and sustainable, that it's not just an innovation platform for the sake of a platform. When we talk about the innovation platform accelerator and testing programs, often that initiative can come from the policymakers because they have a more long-term view, the bigger strategic picture. However, it would be more efficient if it's the clusters and networks implementing them, because they have actual contacts with innovators and they know what exactly is necessary. Now, the policymakers, as I said, they have a strategic view. They are looking things at more long term. So the activities suggested for them to implement is government-backed sandboxes that would actually encourage more innovators to get on board and learn about the active healthy aging. Providing more options for early stage financing. It could also just be support systems around financing to encourage more investors to take part of the field. Very important thing that has been outlined throughout the project is digital literacy skills and competences. So on one side, we're talking about the general digital literacy of the public, of the elderly, of their families, but also it's about the skills and competences and the innovation awareness of, for example, healthcare providers, social care providers, getting an understanding of what really innovation can contribute. And the longest, so to say, goal or aim would be harmonization, because legislation, it's still very fragmented in Europe, not just between member states, but often even between regions. We're talking about approval and accreditation processes. We're talking about reimbursement mechanisms. So in a perfect world, we do see that eventually legislation would be harmonized in between the member states. However, it does not seem doable right now in a sensible time frame. However, we suggest that member states start looking at their policies, seeing what is sensible, what is not. Are the policies catching up with the development of innovation and technology? Are the what is there at least parts of legislation that can be in a way unified between member states, that when companies want to enter a different market, they don't have to do the same processes over and over and over again in just a different language and a different bureaucratic trail. So running very briefly through all of that, that's all from me. But now I'll be taking questions, and Jari will be taking questions as well, and I guess Piret will be coming back at some point as well.
Yeah, Marika, thank you. I am back.
Excellent.
And yeah, and do we have any questions in the chat? So yeah, Katrin is posting all the necessary links for the toolbox and the other tools what we have. But I have a question to you both, Jari and Marika. If you think about, okay, we all have limited resources, we all have limited time, then question to you, Jari, and later to Marika, the same question. What is the thing number one that the company has to fix in order to be successful in scaling up with their solution? So what is the one thing they absolutely have to do?
Yeah,
Jari.
so if I start, so yeah, so I would even, and I have been saying that for startups as well, that you don't need so many customers in the beginning, but just you need the customers who love your product. So that's very much like from my experience, many entrepreneurs might think that once I just make the formal study and research around the market and I get feedback, and then I base my research and my development on that. So that's maybe the old school European way to do things. So now it's more to look for some specific customers who would benefit most of your product, and then ride with that experience and feedback as much as possible.
Thank you, Jari. Same question to you, Marika.
I think I would just elaborate further, because what Jari said is right, that you need that first reference case, and you'll need to so to say convert, right? You need to it's easier if you have somebody else doing the selling for you, or somebody who believes in your solution for you, right? It helps a lot. So I wouldn't use the term fix, but I'd suggest the startup to really, or a company really, to look at who they need to talk to, or who they need to collaborate with, right? Because sometimes they come up with an amazing solution, but that solution is only, how to say, really existing in their head, right? But they need to go out and talk to people and understand what exactly would be the value of a solution. How exactly would they be? How exactly would the solution be used to make it usable, and that it's to give more external perspectives, basically.
Thank you, Marika. So I heard two really important keywords here. One was co-creation, or design your products with your end user, right? Then you will find also the dedicated users and committed users. And the other one is, don't do it alone, use the ecosystem around you. Well, these were my takeaways from this, right? Am I right? Marika,
Yes,
Jari.
and I would also raise the issue of like European harmonization. So that is very much needed. So just recently, or like a couple of weeks ago, spent 2 weeks in Silicon Valley, and so you can see the difference between Europe and US. So the VC, we can really talk about the really VC as an industry. So it's very systematic, and what I said, that so once you had made like some lean startup design thinking, you get some customers who love your product, then you go for VC and really think for scaling up for the other states in the US immediately. Maybe not so much thinking to come to Europe in the beginning, but going for 50 states immediately. And in Europe, so it's a little bit more difficult. So it's almost like starting from the beginning once you go to the new country.
Yeah, thank you, Jari. And what else I wanted to say was that, yeah, like Marika said, the ecosystem around you is really the key. And also, I'm quite pragmatic person, and I don't have this illusion that that with this project we can harmonize European legislation. This will not happen. But what we can do is, of course, we will launch policy recommendations based on the outcomes of this project. Will be presented also on the 7th of December in Tallinn or in Laulasmaa in Estonia. But also these practical tools, this we can provide to the startups and to the scale-up companies. Really, you don't have to learn every single mistake by yourself, but you can just use the tools and maybe skip and be more efficient time-wise also. So this is the added value of this project. But of course, we will propose. And Diana asked that, did you get feedback from the startups who were part of this project? Yes, we had the feedback. And did you get the 5 startups involved in pitching their wares, products and services? Yes, they were able to do some pitching as well. But Jari, would you like to elaborate this?
Yeah, yes, for sure. And we were using other activities of EU and programs as well as much as possible. But yes, so as an example, so the startups were pitching during SLAS and of course in several other events as well, as much as possible. So that's the part of the learning process and lean startup process as well, to try to get as fast so much feedback as possible.
Yeah, and then Diane also has a question: do we have some sort of follow up with the startups as well, and do we take them further with their projects? And for sure, we will start following. We will not stop following their development of the products, and we will work also further with the companies who are involved. So yeah.
Yes,
I would say,
yeah. To add that currently, so we are having the feedback round just before the project ends. So
yeah.
we can get feedback from all of the startups.
Okay. So thank you both to you, Marika and Jari. I think that it was a quite good overview what's happening with the results and tools. And Katrin also posted all the links to the tools in this chat, so you can follow the links. And yes, please come to Estonia on the 7th of December, and let's discuss this policy recommendations and how we can move this topic forward. So thank you all for participating, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.